Now from saving our waterways to saving our history. With jingoistic fanfare, the National Film and Sound Archive was established in 1984 to save our celluloid history from ruin. Millions of feet of nitrate film were sent to the archive to be painstakingly restored. But now the film industry say they are the ones feeling all the pain. Access to the archive's treasures has been suspended, which critics say makes it more of a mausoleum than a library. Justin Murphy has this story on moving pictures going nowhere.
Motion pictures were invented before Federation, so all the important events are actually documented on film. And what we have is a living history book. Instead of just reading about it in a textbook, you can actually see the events taking place in front of your eyes.
This is footage that's never been seen before on TV. A single film camera records the moment of Australia's birth, Federation. The document being signed by the Earl of Hopetoun, our first Governor-General, in Sydney's Centennial Park, January 1, 1901. Since then, our film history has been extremely rich. We were, for example, the first nation with an official government camera. Countless millions of feet were shot, but much of it has been lost. And film being the perishable stuff that it is, the footage we do have is facing collapse.
Time is already selected. Be a very hard judge in a way what should survive, because only about 5% of the silent feature films survive. And so we are virtually preserving everything that we find, because there's so little in existence now. So it's a race against time, really, that we need to transfer the content before the film disappears.
In 1919, The Sentimental Bloke, made by Raymond Longford and Lottie Lyle, won international acclaim and made the rest of the world take notice of our infant industry. But it wasn't long before the American product and distributors had swamped our local efforts, which partly explains why so few of our feature films have survived. The Kelly Gang from 1906 is claimed to be the world's first feature film. Yet these precious few feet were found a few years ago by children playing on a Melbourne rubbish dump.
Cellulose nitrate film is among the most unstable materials, and eventually it'll end up like this. It can actually get even worse, that the entire film turns into brown powder, and we're left with nothing.
Henning Scow, one of the world's leading restoration experts, heads up the National Film and Sound Archive's battle to save the remaining 4.5 million feet. But their current rate isn't fast enough in this painstaking fight. So Dr. Scow's staff are working at it full time, consequently closing the archive's doors to the film industry, who want and expect access to the collection. I mean, you've taken obviously a very conscious and a carefully thought decision.
It's a very hard decision, because we are obviously aware that if we don't provide access, we become increasingly relevant to the industry, which is most unfortunate. I mean, I saw a marvelous compilation of historical footage the other day, and there wasn't a single foot provided by the archive.
The morning sings a golden melody, the evening brings a moonlight symphony, for all the world is wrapped in harmony, down on Melody Farm.
About 3 or 4 years ago, we approached the Film and Sound Archive explaining that there was this need for access, and the Film and Sound Archive at that time didn't have their problem with restoration, and access from our point of view was assured. Close to the time when we got involved in actually requiring footage to begin to cut to the interviews we'd shot, we found that, well, from our point of view, the archive didn't seem particularly interested. We didn't get much help from them. we nearly, I must say, put a credit on the end saying made without the assistance of the National Film and Sound Archive.
The reason for having the archive is that we can provide access to the collection. But at the moment we're faced with the urgent task of ensuring that we don't lose the historical heritage. It's a bit like the house being on fire, that you don't open the shop when you have a fire in the back room, and you have to put that out first and ensure that you save the material.
Sadly, it's pretty much irrelevant. I mean, there's no way we'd even begin to think of going there at this point of time. From our point of view, it's more a case of the frustration of having this fantastic archive there and not having the government giving it the money and giving it the resources to make it work.
Action on the snowy slope, and the temperature's 40 below.
Funding for the nitrate preservation project is guaranteed only until June next year. Continuation beyond that time hasn't been decided yet, and the Arts Minister, Wendy Phaeton, can't be certain if it will continue. Meanwhile, many thousands of sound recordings are also deteriorating to the point of collapse. So the archive don't need just a continuation of funding, but a doubling of it to finish the rescue job. Without that, they say, the doors will stay shut, the gems will remain locked away and crumbling.
The breeze is in our favour, and the order has been given to make sail. Nimble as squirrels, two hands trip up the shrouds to loosen the topsails, and it takes years of practice to avoid tripping too.
Henning Scow is leaving the archive soon, beckoned overseas by an offer he couldn't ignore. His departure, though, is voluntary. What worries him is that others may follow against their wishes.
Now behold this stately beauty.
I go really with mixed feelings that I've always enjoyed working here for the last 11 years or so. What makes me equally sad is that there's a possibility that another 50 people will go as well because their contract expires.
It would be negligent if it were to happen like that.
That's my personal opinion, that Australia is really in a unique situation because many of the important historical events are documented on film, a living history book.
Justin Murphy with that warning. Well,